It was just another regular, mundane morning for Jake. The grease-stained shirt, the worn-out tool belt slung over his shoulder, and the scent of motor oil lingering in the air. Jake wasn't wealthy. He didn't drive fancy cars or wear designer suits. He wasn't a man of great status, but he was one thing above all else: a man who believed in helping others. He was a mechanic, and he took pride in fixing what others couldn't. I've noticed only 98% of you who watch haven't subscribed. Come on, guys, show some love and support. Thanks a bunch to those who have already subscribed. But little did he know today was going to be far from ordinary. On that quiet morning, the usual hum of engines and the occasional clink of tools was broken by the sound of a car pulling up. Jake looked up from under the hood of a rusted pickup truck he was fixing, wiping his hands on an old rag. It was a sleek, white sports car, a model he'd only ever seen in magazines. The engine purred like a tiger, and as it rolled to a stop, Jake could tell this wasn't your average customer. Out stepped a young woman, early 30s, dressed in a simple but elegant outfit, with her hair pulled back in a neat ponytail. She walked with purpose, but something about her demeanor seemed out of place. It wasn't the confidence or poise, it was the way she stood. She looked lost, as if this wasn't her usual environment. Jake wiped his hands again, stood up from the hood, and walked toward her. "Need some help?" he asked, trying to sound as friendly as possible. The woman, whose name was Amelia, gave him a nervous smile and nodded. "I hope so. My car's making a weird noise, and I don't know much about engines. I was hoping you could take a look." Jake nodded, his eyes scanning the car with curiosity. It looked brand new, far too pristine for someone who didn't know what they were doing with it. But he'd seen this type of thing before. People who just needed a mechanic's expertise without knowing much about the machines themselves. "Pop the hood and let's take a look." She did as he asked, lifting the hood with a slight grunt. Jake peered inside, his eyes narrowing as he examined the engine. It didn't take long for him to figure out what the issue was. Something minor, but it could cause more serious problems down the line if left unattended. "Well, I've found the issue," Jake said, turning to face her. "Nothing too major, just a small part that needs replacing. Shouldn't take more than an hour." Amelia's eyes widened in surprise. "Really? That quick?" Jake smiled modestly. "Yeah, I've seen worse. It's just a matter of finding the right part and getting to work." Amelia bit her lip, clearly nervous. She glanced at the price tag on her car. She had no idea how much this would cost, and frankly, she didn't want to deal with it. She'd been running on empty for weeks, trying to get through a business crisis she didn't want to face. The weight of her responsibilities, of being the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company, had been taking its toll. She took a deep breath and hesitated for a moment. I don't have a lot of money on me right now. Would you consider doing it for free?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jake stared at her, taken aback for a moment. He could see the uncertainty in her eyes, the genuine concern for her car. In his world, people asked for favors all the time, but it wasn't typical for someone to ask a mechanic to work for free. It was unheard of, especially when it came to a luxury car like this one. But Jake wasn't like most people. He had always believed in helping others, no matter their situation. If she needed it, he'd help her, no questions asked. "I can do it for you," Jake said with a shrug. "No charge." Amelia blinked in surprise. "You're serious? I don't even know how to thank you." Jake waved her off. "It's no big deal. I just do what I love." Amelia hesitated for a moment, then nodded, grateful. "Okay, well, if you're sure..." "I'm sure." As Jake got to work, Amelia sat on a nearby bench watching him. She could tell he was good at what he did. There was a confidence in his movements that came with experience. As the minutes passed, she began to wonder why he was so willing to help her. Why would someone like him, a mechanic working in a rundown shop, offer his skills for free to a stranger? But Amelia had her own secret, something she had kept hidden from the world. She wasn't just any woman in a fancy car. She was the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company, one that she had built from the ground up. Her life was a whirlwind of board meetings, investments, and tough decisions. But today it felt like she was free from the weight of it all. In this moment, she wasn't the powerful businesswoman. She was just a girl with a broken-down car asking for help. As Jake worked, she found herself watching him more closely. He was focused, determined, but there was a quiet kindness in his actions that made her feel at ease. Maybe that was why she had asked for help in the first place. There was something about him that made her feel safe. After about an hour, Jake closed the hood of the car and wiped his hands clean. "All set," he said, his voice cheerful. "You should be good to go now." Amelia stood up, walking over to him. "Wow, that was fast. Thank you so much." "No problem," Jake replied, leaning back against the car. "Just be sure to keep an eye on it. That part's a little old. You might want to replace it soon." Amelia smiled, but there was a moment of hesitation before she spoke again. "Jake, I don't think you understand. You've done more for me than anyone else would have, and I want to repay you. I know you didn't do this for money, but I need you to know how much this means." Jake looked at her, confused. "I didn't do it for a reward, ma'am. Just happy to help." Amelia smiled, but there was something in her eyes, a determination that couldn't be ignored. "I get that, but I'm not letting you walk away without something in return." She reached into her bag and pulled out a business card. "I own a company, an online retail business. If you ever need anything, or if you want to work with us, don't hesitate to reach out. I'd be happy to help you however I can." Jake took the card, his eyebrows furrowed as he looked at it. "Thank you, but that's really not necessary." Amelia smiled, her eyes sparkling. "Maybe not now, but you never know what life has in store. You've done something kind for me. It's only right that I return the favor." She got into her car, rolled down the window, and flashed him a smile. "Take care, Jake." And with that, she drove off, leaving Jake standing there, still holding the business card in his hand. He looked down at it, a bit confused, but shrugged it off. He was just a mechanic after all. What did he need with a businesswoman's card? But little did Jake know, this was just the beginning of something incredible. A few months later, Jake's life was about to change in ways he could never have imagined. It started with a phone call. "Hello, is this Jake?" came a voice on the other end. "Yeah, speaking," Jake replied, wiping his hands on a rag as he answered the phone. "This is Amelia," the voice continued. "From the auto shop, remember me?" Jake's mind raced trying to place the voice. Then it clicked. "Oh, hey, how's everything going?" "Good, good. I've been meaning to call you. I wanted to offer you a job." "A job?" Jake repeated, confused. Amelia laughed softly. "Not just any job. I'm opening a new line of high-end car care products, and I need someone to oversee the mechanical side of things. Someone with experience. You, Jake, are the perfect person for the job." Jake's jaw dropped. "Wait, what?" Amelia continued. "I know you've been doing good work, and I trust you. So I'm offering you a position in my company, and trust me, it's going to pay well." Jake couldn't believe it. A mechanic from a small town now offered a position at a multi-million-dollar company. He had no idea how to respond. But he did know one thing. This wasn't just a random coincidence. It was the power of kindness, of helping others, and of a moment in time that changed everything. Before we continue, if you've enjoyed this incredible story and want to hear more, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to like and comment below. What would you do if you were Jake in this situation? Would you have helped Amelia? Let us know your thoughts. And that's how one simple act of kindness can turn into something far greater than you could ever expect. Jake's life was never the same again. From working in a small mechanic shop to overseeing the mechanical side of a multi-million